Happy homecoming at the Horseshoe and happy Taylor Swift album release weekend. Why is that important for Ohio State and Minnesota?
Because Ohio State's never lost after Taylor Swift releases an album. So chalk up a dub for the Bucks on homecoming. It is hot out.
It's hot. There's new Taylor Swift jams. Buckeyes are home for the only time in October, and it feels like we're back at the start of August, or the home opener. It's the Big Ten opener for Ohio State in this building against the Gophers. Primetime under the lights, 7:30 on NBC. These are the Pregame Keys. He's Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. And we can set the Taylor Swift album reviews aside now and focus on ball.
Lots of ball. Minnesota 3-1 coming into the Horseshoe. Big win last week in New Jersey. Feeling good about themselves. Probably shouldn't feel good about themselves. We still don't know what their situation is with Darius Taylor, their star running back. But Ohio State is healthy. Ohio State is ready to go. Nobody that's of note that's expected to miss this game at all for the Buckeyes.
We don't know yet for sure.
Well, we have a pretty strong inclination.
The availability report has not been submitted to the Big Ten, but we are not, as we stand here right now, expecting any starters to miss this game for Ohio State.
And that's pretty good news for Ohio State. It's October, and you get to this part of the season, and normally you start to see a little nagging injury here or two pop up, and the Buckeyes have avoided that thus far. Knock on some wood somewhere around here to avoid that happening tonight. But this game, I think, sets up with the way the weather is, this matchup with Minnesota. They've given up almost 600 yards of passing to Rutgers and Cal, and that's not a knock on Cal. Their freshman quarterback's very good.
No, it's a knock on Cal.
It's a knock. Ohio State should be able to have some success tonight, doing pretty much whatever they want. Minnesota, number 5 in the country against the run, bad against the pass. Does that open up the offense tonight for the Buckeyes? When they are the slowest playing team in the country, fan base kind of wanting a little bit of up-tempo, a little bit more shot-taking, a little more risk-taking. Probably not going to happen though. Right? I mean, this is who they are.
I don't know. On the way down here, you tried to convince me that Ohio State would open it up and saw it all over. I think you're just trying to speak it into existence.
That's what I want.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I am on that side of this argument. Like, tonight's the night to take some shots, see what you can do. I do understand with the stretch coming against Illinois and Wisconsin, 2 teams that are also very good against the run. Maybe you want to see what you can establish and try to create a little bit of an identity on that side of the ball today for the offense. But overall, I think this is a night for Julian Sayin and the Buckeye wide receivers to make some impacts. And so to me, that's key number 1. Keep him upright. Let Julian Sayin stay upright, and the Buckeyes will cruise.
How about this for a balance and a compromise?
Okay.
Take the offense that we saw Ohio State run to start the second half last week at Washington. Use that on the first drive of the game against Minnesota. And then if you want to huddle up and use 30-plus seconds before snapping every drive after that, and you'll probably still win comfortably. Ohio State's favored to win this game by 23.5 points. You can do that. I think if that's maybe the conversation, I think we're going to have to all come together and recognize that Ryan Day, he did this a year ago, and it worked. The approach to play at a lower tempo, to limit the number of snaps, and then once you got to the playoff, you could do something very differently, and you could press the gas pedal if you felt like you needed to, or if the situation, talent-equated matchups required that. Minnesota is not that team, but again, there's no rule that says you can't just go out and get up by 14 and then slow down the tempo from there.
This may be not the show for this sort of thought. It's something maybe to dive deeper in over the next few weeks, but watching Michigan and Wisconsin today, we've talked in the past about how Ohio State is built to win the national championship and Michigan's built to beat Ohio State. The more I watch this Ohio State team, the more I think they're trying to find a sweet spot where they're built to do both. And if you think about last year's game in this building against Michigan, like if you just do a couple of the little things a little bit better, you win that game even though you played ugly. I don't think that Ohio State should seek that sort of offense out because you have too many good weapons otherwise, but I don't think they're uncomfortable playing any style of game. Minnesota's going to try to shorten this game. I think Ohio State should try to push back against that and use their weapons they have. Clemson today came out in the first play of the game, ran a flea flicker, double pass. Michigan
did the same thing.
Same thing. I don't know why sometimes Ohio State is so averse to being a college football team. But let's see some creativity. Let's see some messing around, just to put something on tape every once in a while, you know?
So in the middle of the week, you said, Austin, you're right. They are an NFL team. And now you're like, I don't want that.
I don't want it. I want a college team. I want reverse passes. I want the end arounds and flea flickers. And I want fake punts. Let's see.
Yeah.
Tonight's the type of night you can do some things. You put it on film. You're not going to be back in this building for another month. You may as well give the fans that are going to be here tonight a little something to talk about.
Yeah, no, and I think if we're talking about creativity, opening up the playbook and, pushing the envelope college style, I think we got to see that more in the red zone. And we spent the last week talking about this. Again, you can skew the numbers if you want. Ohio State's not going to tolerate 3 empty possessions in the red zone ever. We know that the goal is 75% for touchdowns down there. They're below the standard that they've set for themselves. And I think you got to take the last scoring drive and the first failed drive against Washington. And what did you learn there? You don't have to just go 3, 4 tight ends and run directly into the line of scrimmage and count on, this is a very good offensive line. But anytime you're just telegraphing to your opponent what you're going to do, it does help them stop it. They don't have to steal your signals to figure that part out. So I think that that play action and just slipping C.J. Donaldson out in the flat, we saw that with some of the creativity on the plays that they didn't score on. The Brandon Ennis play down here a month ago at this time. That time goes very fast. Some of that stuff and the KJ Hill routes, the Chris Olave routes that we saw for so long, it doesn't even have to be a double reverse or a Philly special, but if I'm looking for something, and if the tempo is largely the same, then it does become about situational football for Ohio State, and that means short yardage and red zone conversions. So let's see if that becomes something that you can notice an improvement or an adjustment from what we've seen in the first month of the season.
Yeah. So you heard Austin just called a bold prediction. Lincoln Keno touchdown pass to Julian Sayin. If that comes true,
I did not say it.
If that comes true, you are the undisputed king of bold predictions forever. And that's why we're still waiting to see the Minnesota availability report. But what the Gophers have done this year is sort of antithetical to who they've been traditionally. But I think that's been forced because Darius Taylor's not been in the game. They're also down their second string running back. So they've been playing their third and fourth running back since the first week of the season. Now, I want to be clear, that first week of the season, Darius Taylor had 31 carries for 140 yards against a MAC team. So it's not like he was dominating, but he is the guy that they trust. And so if he's not out here tonight, which we're going to find out in the next hour or so, then we will see Minnesota try to really put the ball in the hands of Drake Lindsey, their second-year quarterback, who's a very different type of passer and quarterback than DeMond Williams a week ago. DeMond Williams, 5'11", 195 pounds, jitterbug. This kid is 6'5", 240 pounds. He's going to stand in the pocket and throw it. That traditionally does not.
It's not a good idea against
Ohio State. But that's doubly bad because they don't have the quick, shifty playmakers behind the line of scrimmage that you need to be successful. So Minnesota, I think, is going to look for some quick hitters, play action, ways to keep Ohio State off balance, because if they let the Buckeye defensive ends and Caden McDonald just pin the ears back and go, it's going to be a real long night for the Gophers. So to me, it's about making sure Ohio State is prepared for some misdirection, prepared for quick passing, making sure that you take a shot, jump a route. You can give up a touchdown in this game and win. Jump a route. Try to get in there and jump a screen, because Minnesota's going to do a lot of that stuff today. So look for ways to create turnovers. That's not the strength of this Buckeye defense so far this season, but I think Minnesota, despite the fact that Lindsey's only thrown 2 picks this year, I think is going to have to take some shots. So the Buckeyes need to be prepared for that. He can throw the ball down the field. So if you're in man coverage, you're going to need to be prepared. And Davison Igbinelson, Jermaine Matthews, and Devin Sanchez and Aaron Scott have played great. I think they're going to be tested today.
This might sound silly, and it's not necessarily a key because at this point of the week it's too late. But I think it's just worth keeping in mind, and we can evaluate how Ohio State managed. This is the part that sounds silly. It's a night game. Ohio State doesn't play a lot of them in this building, so they're out of their routine. But they're also out of their routine because that flight home from Seattle last week and the body clock and all that stuff is very difficult. It's a long way. I don't think it was coincidence. In fact, it's always intentional when Ryan Day is giving his message. It was like we were in the huddle with the team after practice on Wednesday when he's talking about being desperate and hungry. It felt like, to me, Ryan Day was making one more effort to get that attention of the team, snap them back into focus. Not saying that they were unfocused, just a reminder, because you are going to feel some fatigue when you come back there. You and I both did, and we were out there for one day less than Ohio State was. But the whole routine, the whole rhythm, the whole way that Ohio State structures its week has been out of whack all the way up until today, up until game day, because they're normally in this building by 9:30 in the morning. Yeah. And so make sure that you're handling that. It's not the cliche of just go start fast. We're going to find out if Ohio State managed the week to the best of their ability, which I know is what Ryan Day was harping on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what he's harping on Tuesday also. You got to come out, and nothing. His mood on Tuesday was very serious. Wednesday saying those things. There is a slight risk of starting to smell your own farts a little bit around here after last week and how good the defense has played and all of the conversation. It does. It smells like a football game down here for the first time this season because this is the warmest it's been on a game day by about 20 degrees. But this is just one of those days where you are going to be trying to fight against the hype around you because everyone expects Ohio State now. The national media's come around, well, maybe they are this good. Maybe they are this good. Maybe the Buckeyes are one of 2 teams in the country that are actually great. And so you want to try to avoid that tonight. Minnesota, PJ Fleck, he knows how to get the best out of his team. They're going to come in here ready to go. Ohio State needs to deliver a punch early. I really think it's important. The Buckeyes have scored 3 points in the first quarter this year against Power 5 teams. Like, that's not good. Even Group of 5 teams, because the 3 points against Ohio, like, they didn't score.
It's a very small sample size, but
three games against non-FCS schools, and they scored 3 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
In Minnesota's games in that same slot, they haven't scored at all in the first quarter. So it's an opportunity.
Sounds like a gambling tip.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity for Ohio State to come out and really change the tone of this game ASAP. So I hope, key for me, if that coin flip goes your way, take the ball and score.
Ooh, okay. Who's going to score first for Ohio State?
Brandon Ennis.
Brandon Ennis. Okay.
I got 2 touchdowns for him tonight, as you know from watching bold predictions. But that first one will be his reception for a touchdown.
All right. That's a bonus bold prediction from Birm to drill down to make that first. So another gambling tip out there. And also Ohio State unbeaten when Taylor Swift albums out. And low-scoring games. I still feel like that's going to be the case. That number, I believe, is at 44.5 right now. If you're curious and if you're interested in that, might be something to take a look at. However it shakes out. Over, under, cover, not cover. We're going to talk about it after the game on the Austin and Birm Show with snap judgments in the notebook. If you missed bold predictions on Friday on the beat, go ahead and check that out.
You got plenty of time.
You got some time to dive in as we were able to get into a homecoming stadium a little bit early this week as we get ready for Ohio State and Minnesota under the lights. A gorgeous October day in Columbus, Ohio. Hope you enjoy the game wherever you are. He's Birm, and I'm Austin. We'll talk to you afterwards. See ya.